So the topic of today's class is actually success in graduate school, and the subtitle is retention, attrition, and career paths. Now let me talk about why those three things coming together at school. We mean both, indeed, getting through and getting a degree. Now, what do we know about people not completing? That means they are trite, and we talk about attrition. And when we talk about retention, we talk about how many does a program retain and they're complete. So you see, actually, it's the other side of the coin. You can report, and most of the time, one reports the more positive, say how many indeed complete, and talk about 80% of all doctorate in a program complete, and 20% don't. What we know nationally, not an exact number, how many complete and how many don't. Because this is really at the institutional level. Few institutions in the past were able to actually get at those numbers. One of the earliest institutions who kept records were the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and then Berkeley, with Michigan, to look at all our programs and to see what can we learn if they leave, when do they leave, and what do we know about the reasons why they leave. And then again I say leaving would be how many are trite and how many does the institution retain, retention rate. And this has a lot, in the end, something also to do what's out there on the other side. Does the people hang in to get to the other side? So that's why a logical consequence is also then to think about career paths, but also as an outcome of doctoral education. What careers do they have at the end? How satisfied are they with the program? Now, coming back to how many do the institutions retain in a program and how many leave before they complete a degree. Currently, I want to make you aware, the Council of Graduate Schools try to get institutions so one can get a figure which is more likely represent a really national average. It's not much different than what we had 20 years ago. We came up in Berkeley, Michigan. We can say, on the average, with all programs together, of all the doctoral students who started, about 60% complete. Now that sounds really high, 40% leave. We have to differentiate very much by the field of studies and then by institutional factor. The field of studies makes such a big difference because, as you know, in the science and lab science and engineering, you have more funding and also different structure of the doctoral program because of being in research labs together and structuring the program somewhat different than in the social science humanities. So what we can say that actually in the science, specifically lab science, we have a high retention, about 80% really complete and 20% leave. Then we have to differentiate. We ask, well, how and why? When does it occur? We have to differentiate between early leaving and late leaving. So we then did a study looking at all those we could find who, in particular, 3-year consecutive cohorts, who we found indeed who left. When did they leave? So we learned that regardless of field of study, about 20%, nearly 25, 20, leave in the first 3 years. So that would be before they do the qualifying exam most of the time, before they got their dissertation proposal accepted, regardless of field, as I said. However, afterwards, when they're already working on their dissertation, in the sciences and engineering is a very low rate who then leaves. It's maybe about 5%, maximum 10% on the average. However, in the humanities and social science, it's higher. It's quite higher. It's 25%, the other 25% who leave. Now, this has several factors. And here we have to, last time we talked about individual factors, and specifically was about international students. We read literature, but many of you commented also that actually are reasons which affect all students and also could apply to all students, and you were very correct. Now, what I want today is really explaining reasons which are more programmatic and institutional factors, why people may leave and when they're leaving early or late, and why they're having a longer time or a shorter time. Now let me explain the model, how we can conceptualize institutional factors of why there is long time to degree and a high attrition or the other way around.